In the record books, he's Phil Rizzuto, shortstop, broadcaster, Hall of Famer. In the hearts and minds of Yankee fans who've seen players come and go, who've cheered pennants won and cried over pennants lost, Rizzuto has endured as the dependable and lovable Scooter. A pinstriper since 1941, the Scooter belongs to the Yankees, to their fans, and to New York. He's the little guy from Brooklyn who spurned the odds and became a rookie among Yankee legends. A marvelous shortstop who anchored 5 consecutive World Championship teams. Holy cow! He's the storyteller, the humorist, the poet perched in the Yankees' booth for 5 decades. And now he stands among baseball's immortals as Phil Rizzuto, Hall of Famer. Presenting Scooter, the Phil Rizzuto story. In the 1930s, Brooklyn's population of nearly 3 million made it as populous as the city of Chicago. It was here where tens of thousands of immigrants from Europe came to settle. It's also where Phil Rizzuto grew up, the son of an Italian laborer and later a trolley car conductor. For most everyone then, the Depression brought nothing but hard times. But still, for a young Rizzuto, life felt surprisingly secure.
Well, I tell you, I know it was a depression, but the thing was it didn't bother us kids nearly as much as it bothered, my mother and father and my older sisters who were trying to get jobs at the time. When you're that young, and I was very young, and before I was even a teenager, and then through the teenage years, like I say, it didn't bother us because, we didn't eat much, whatever we ate. My mother could get me crumb buns and make a veal cutlet, and I cut the crumb bun open and put the veal cutlet and eat it for a sandwich. I was happy the rest of the day.
For Phil and the other kids in the neighborhood, the streets of Brooklyn offered but one diversion, and that was morning, noon, and night.
We played ball in Brooklyn every day, and as long as it was light on, and even when it got dark, we would play what they called box ball or triangle ball. The block that I lived on, everybody was an athlete. Everybody played. It was so great. We'd meet, and it was never a dull moment. Never any fights, it was all mixed. Irish, Italian, Jewish, Chinese, blacks. Everybody was there. It was just a great area, and I think that helped me later on to understand all the things that some of the guys in trouble who didn't, really get along with everybody.
Kids were mighty inventive in creating games, but baseball was the game of choice, and any which way they could play it, they did.
We didn't get a uniform until I think I was in high school, because we played pickup games in Sandlight. You had to go to the park, Highland Park or Victory Field and Dexter Park, and you had to get there very early in the morning it was like whoever was there first, that was their domain. And then we'd play baseball all day long. We'd get balls, the cover would come off, and my mother would give us adhesive tape, and tape the ball up. My mom was great. She loved the game. My father never wanted me to play baseball. How the old, they come over from Italy, they want you to work hard and work hard. But my mom knew that my heart and soul was wanting to be a baseball player. Now, this is a story I never told anybody, I don't think. But she would say, when the cover comes off, save it and bring it home. And I would bring it home, and she would get rags and stuff it and re-sew the ball. And then we could play right out on the streets where you couldn't break a window. But, you could make that ball curve, and you'd hit it with a broomstick, and that's great hand-eye coordination. I think that was one of the things that really helped me to be able to hit a baseball.
As a teenager, Phil showed a real talent for the game. In high school, his baseball coaches put his speed and size to tactical use.
When I went to high school, I had grown a little bit. I think I was about 4'11", almost 5 feet, my first year in high school. So the coach, it was Al Kunitz, who helped me tremendously. He's the one who taught me how to bunt, my high school coach at Richmond Hill High School. And The first year he said to me, now look, I don't want you to swing at anything. You don't forget, I was only 4 foot, almost 5 feet. So I would get a walk every time up, and I could run like the wind. I used to steal second and third, and then once in a while home, but then somebody would knock me in. And so he would never let me swing. They just couldn't pitch to me. The next year I grew a little. I was about 5'2" or 5'3", and then I played regularly and was able to swing and hit.
Rizzuto was a star third baseman at Richmond Hill. He was so impressive, no one knew which he'd have first, a diploma or a contract with the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Actually, I hadn't quite graduated from high school. It was in the summer of 1936. And I went to Dodge. Casey Stengel was managing the Dodgers. In those days, when they had tryouts, they just had it for one day, and it wasn't even a whole day. It was like a half a day. And Casey was there, and some of the coaches. Casey said, all right, go up there, hit, you get 5 swings. First ball at this kid who was trying to impress Casey, too. He couldn't blame him. I was pitching, trying to become a pitcher. Hit me right in the middle of the back. And, I mean, I stiffened up, and I couldn't. So the next 4 pitches, just 5 pitches, I couldn't swing. He said, listen. He says, you better get a shoe shine box. That's the only way you'll ever make a living. Now, that's a true story. You know, of course, Casey said he forgot. He doesn't remember saying it, but, I mean, that stuck in my craw for a long, long time. But fortunately, I was either too dumb or too stubborn to quit.
The Cardinals and the Giants also gave Phil a look, but they too turned him down. Finally, all it took was one long look from the Yankees.
Then the Yankees had the 1 week tryout. It was a full week, which was written, and we played a game every day, and that's the only way you can judge whether the kid's got any ability at all. He'd have different situations, hit and run, bunting, stealing, throwing, getting the cutoff and everything. And my high school coach had versed me in all that, and so I made it. And then Paul Critchell, who was a scout at that time, signed me to this contract for $75 a month, and I was happy to get it.
Rizzuto sailed through the minors in 4 seasons, hitting 300 or better every year, and playing on 4 pennant winners. In 1940, the Sporting News voted him the top minor league player of the year. Then, with nothing more to prove, Phil was summoned to the Yankees in the spring of 1941. He was the smallest man in camp and had to convince folks he was a ball player.
First, I had a hard time getting in the clubhouse. That's because when I came, and I was still carrying a little duffel bag with my glove and my spikes, and I had no uniform or anything. And Pop Logan was the clubhouse man at the time, down in St. Petersburg. And I go in there, and I start to walk. And he said, "Where you going, kid?" I said, "Well, I'm with the Yankees." And okay. He says, "Oh, you have all these kids try to get." So I wouldn't let me in the clubhouse. About 10 minutes later, Lefty Gomez was coming in, and he is so funny. He turned out to be a great friend. And he said, "Hey, Pop, you better let this kid come inside. The ducks are going to walk all over him, and it'll hurt him." So it's real funny lines here. So that's how I got in the clubhouse. And then to be sitting there, I was sitting next to Ruffing and Dickey. I said, "Oh my, here's guys I had been dreaming about, reading about, and idolizing, and here I'm with them." And I couldn't talk. Like for 2 weeks, I don't think I opened my mouth. And for 2 weeks, I didn't get in the batting cage either, because I was trying to take Frank Crissetti's place, who was loved by all the Yankees.
All it took was a word from the team's biggest star to help Phil gain acceptance.
Finally, DiMaggio said, "If he's going to be with us all year, let's see if he can do it." And finally, I worked my way into batting practice.
But playing every day was another matter. In May, Joe McCarthy benched Rizzuto. He sat there waiting for a chance to play short, the position held for nearly a decade by Frank Crissetti.
Crissetti was playing great ball. He wasn't old when I was trying to take his place, but then he got spiked, very slight spike on the hand. So McCarthy had been waiting for a chance to get me in there and not hurt Frank's feelings, and said, "Oh, you better let the kid play." And Crissetti, "No, I'm all right." He said, "No." He said, "Listen, go in and get that taken care of." And I went out there, and the Crow never got back in again.
Shades of Wally Pipp. In no time, Phil developed into a great shortstop. So good, in fact, he and his Dodger counterpart, Pee Wee Reese, were considered the standards of the day. Phil was also an asset at the plate. He had a knack for finding holes, and he was in a league all his own when it came to laying down a bunt.
I was in major leagues for 13 years, I believe, 11 with the Yankees, and he undoubtedly was the best bunter I ever saw.
He could pinpoint those bunts. And, you know, bunting isn't an easy thing to do, and he was a master at it. And you got to remember, bunting and sacrificing wins more ball games than base hits or home runs. Bob Lennon was pitching for Cleveland, and the squeeze play was on. It was man on third. He was coming home, the runner, and Bob Lemon threw the ball right at Phil's head, and Phil somehow got down and got the bat up, made a perfect bunt down to third or first. Really, Phil should have hit the dirt. The catcher would have caught the ball and caught the guy coming home, but Phil somehow got out of the way, made a beautiful bunt, and we won the game.
I can remember him making phenomenal plays in the hole or going back in the outfield as little as he was, and Freddie, some outfielder was going to run over him, you know, but damn, if he wouldn't hang in there and catch that ball.
When we needed a double play on defense, that ball was hit the fielder or hit the second baseman, we made the double play.
I was very lucky that I was able to catch the ball, not make it, and get rid of it quickly and make double plays and throw the ball from under my legs and sidearm and jumping up in the air. And those things I could do well. It's a good thing I could.
Rizzuto's quickness was a plus, but his size made him a target for opposing teams. Thankfully, his teammates offered protection.
I've never had a fight in my life. Every second baseman that I played with have had fights over me.
We always wanted to stick up for him because he was a little guy. Phil's only like 5'5.5" and about 150 pounds. And I remember Clint Courtney went in St. Louis and tried to cut Phil's legs off, and by the time Courtney got up, there was three guys on the Yankees pounding away on him. Eddie Stanky slid in the second. I know Phil doesn't like to hear it. Knocked the ball out of his glove.
I played against Stanky when he's with Milwaukee. He broke my nose twice there, and then up in the big leagues he broke my nose. Stanky. Not fighting, but tagging me with the ball. I used to slide head first. I stopped that after a while. I said, how long can you go? How many times can you reset your nose? I never got the nose I wanted anyway.
In 1943, Phil enlisted in the Navy and would miss 3 seasons. He didn't see active duty, but he was no stranger to the perils of the high seas.
When they first sent me over, I had to go to San Francisco and ship out from there. And I got seasick before the boat pulled out. And I was seasick it took us 23 days to get to New Guinea. And I was seasick for 23 days. 23 days, and if you ever been seasick, not a worse feeling in the world. I didn't care if they shot me, court-martialed me, threw me overboard or anything.
Phil came through unscathed, and in 1946 returned to the Yankees. And even on a team of great stars, the little shortstop is about to grab the spotlight. Once Rizzuto and the other stars returned from the war, the Yankees were again a powerhouse team. In 1949, they won their 4th World Series of the decade, and the next season were again world champions. That year, 1950, also marked Phil's greatest personal glory as he won the Most Valuable Player award, finally came out from the shadow of the Yankees' mighty lineup. Rizzuto piled up the best numbers of his career and won the award by over 100 points.
That's quite an honor for a guy that didn't hit the ball very far. I mean, it shows you just how much of a key player he was for our ball club. I think he hit over 300 that year, and it's hard to steal first.
And when they look at a shortstop, they always say defense. But he won a lot of ball games with that bat.
I had gone 0 for 11 at the start of that year, 1950. And I said, I couldn't buy a base hit. So Johnny Mize got me his big bat. He taped it for me the way he taped his. And he told me to choke up a whole hand. He said, put your right hand on the bat, and then your left hand, and then your right hand above it, like you're choosing sides. And the first time I used it, I'm standing up there, the guy threw me a high, tight fastball, and I tried to duck out of the way. The ball hit the bat, and I hit a line drive, the best ball I had hit in 12 games, over the infield. I got a base hit, and then I got 199 after that. I was hitting balls and ground balls and take a bad hop over the infielders, break my bat, and it'd just fall in. And couldn't do anything wrong.
Neither could the Yankees. The next year, 1951, They made it back-to-back World Series titles. They won again in '52, again in '53, chalking up an unprecedented 5 consecutive World Championships.
We had great defense and great speed. And Rizzuto was a key part of that, let's face it.
It was unbelievable, and you just knew you were going to win. And that's the trouble with a lot of teams that have never had that opportunity to win just once and get that feeling. Then you never want to lose. That's what keeps you going and coming back.
He just held the whole team together with his play, the little things he did, and he just came to play every day. You know, Phil tries to act like he's humble and meek and that, but he was a tough guy when it came to playing baseball.
But when it comes to handling things that creep, crawl, or buzz, Rizzuto was and is a coward. This his teammates couldn't help but exploit. If there was a practical joke to be played on someone, you can be sure Rizzuto was the victim.
I am afraid anything that crawls or wiggles or flies or bites or got ugly colors or slimy or and then they put these things in my bed, in my shoes. Oh, they played some tricks on me, unbelievable.
In our day, we used to leave the glove out on the field, and an old second baseman from the Philadelphia A's used to get rubber snakes and rubber worms, and they'd stick it in Phil's glove, and he'd put his hand in there, and he'd drop the glove, and somebody else would go have to get the glove and take it out for him.
A couple of the guys, I don't remember who they were, took his little car in spring training and went and stuck it between 2 trees, and Phil couldn't get out.
I got in his locker a couple of times, and when he would open his locker, I'd go "Ooh," like that or something, scare him a lot.
I remember Phil pulling his white striped baseball Yankee pants on in the clubhouse, and Joe Page had put a live lobster in one of the legs of the pants, and you know, you got to picture Phil putting his foot into his pants and this live lobster being in there.
He didn't disapprove of it. He enjoyed the consideration and the friendliness from it all.
I figure if they didn't like you, they wouldn't do those things. Or maybe it's because they didn't like me that they did those things. But I've always figured the other way.
Rizzuto's popularity never faded, but by 1956, his performance had, and in August, Casey Stengel wanted to make a change before the Major League rosters would be frozen. Under the guise of asking Phil who the Yankees might pick up for the pennant drive, Stengel called Phil in for a chat.
I went in and they said, well, here's the list. We got a chance to get somebody from the National League who can help us in the World Series, but we got to take somebody off our list and make him ineligible for the series. They said, we'd like you, we'll go down the list and you see who you would recommend. So we went down through the whole list. And I said, uh-oh. The lights started to go off. And sure enough, we went through the list again, and they told me, Casey said, look, we'd like to release you today, and then you can come back tomorrow in uniform, finish out the year. You're not eligible for the World Series. I said, who's coming? And they told me, Enos Slaughter. And that hurt even more, because he's older than me and a National Leaguer. You know, me and the National League don't get along.
Of course, you'd like to turn the clock back and start all over again, knowing what you know now, but still a good feeling being with the Yankees.
When you think of Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Phil Rizzuto's got to be in that group. I'll tell you what I heard Ted Williams say one time. If the Red Sox would have had Phil Rizzuto, they'd have been winning.
As it turned out, Rizzuto did not have to leave the team that he loved. That winter, he handed over shortstop to Gil McDougall and set out to learn the broadcasting business, getting a little help from yours truly.
And one time Mel Allen said, when you get out, so why don't you come up and I'll let you do a play or two. I said, geez, that's great. And I went up, and Mel would let me do 1 or 2 hitters, and one time he let me do a half inning, and he told me to go home, and if I was serious about wanting to be a broadcaster, put the Dodger game on or the Giant game, turn the sound off, which is very difficult, and then get your tape recording and make believe you're doing the game.
Rizzuto settled into the booth alongside me and Red Barber. If he was intimidated, he sure didn't let on. He quickly carved out a style all his own, letting loose with "Holy cow" when the moment saw fit.
slammer. Holy cow. Stay in there. All right. Holy cow. Holy cow, is it? Body English, bodying. Holy cow.
I live for just once a game to hear him go, holy cow, I live for that.
Holy cow.
He made the game so you can actually see it. And you didn't even have to be there.
And he goes to right field. Holy cow! Holy cow! Like a walk! Oh, I don't believe... Holy cow! I said slice one to right field, but I didn't know he'd do it in the seats. Look at that Yankee.
It's fun when we're sitting at home and the announcer doesn't care about the game. I mean, I could turn on the TV and not know what the score is, and if Phil's doing the game, I can tell by the tone of his voice whether they're winning or they're losing.
Oh, beautiful. Everybody say. All right, Bucky! Nice play, Bucky. Holy cow. All right, stay fair. Home run, holy cow. So many people, especially in Chicago, say I stole it from Harry Carey, and I actually didn't. Had never heard Harry Carey when I was saying it in high school, and even before that on the streets. It was just something that I picked up when I was a kid, you know, which was good because my mother and father didn't want me to swear, and my high school coach says, don't swear, use something, and I told him, holy cow. He says, great, use it. The umpire can't throw you out for that, and then I use it all as I can. The fans seem to love it so. Another Rizzuto trademark is the banter between him and his broadcast partners, like Bill White, his straight man for 17 years. But I'm looking at the cap. That's Bill White. I'm Bill. And a base hit. Oh, holy cow. He better hurry. Oh, it's going to be close. Oh, the ball took a bad hop.
I don't think Henderson touched home plate. He did.
He's out.
I remember with Frank Messer and Bill White for years. I thought it was such a great combination. Frank was a serious guy, and the banter that went on between Bill White and Rizzuto was just, you know, it was great. I mean, sometimes Phil would lose track of the game once in a while, but there was always Frank Messer and Bill White there to keep the fans informed.
I remember a ball game like this, White. And naturally, I worried more than Mattingly, but I hit a home run in the first inning. It rained. They almost called the game. We got the 5 innings in. I hate to say, as we look at Mattingly hit, how quick he get. Oh, man, that's the way he knew it was gone. I hate to say we lost the game, but I was happy they got the game in.
Taught me how to broadcast. He helped me quite a bit with things. It taught me how to leave in the 7th inning and how to come late and how to have someone else do my lineups and all those other things.
I couldn't wait to get to the ballpark. He was great. We just seemed to fit like a glove, you know, and get along. Never had an argument in 18 years. Not that I had arguments with my other broadcast partners. I had some great ones, but he was the best.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to New York Yankee Baseball. I'm Bill White. Wait a minute.
Something I've wanted to do my whole life. And finally today I got nerve enough to do it. I had a facial. What? I know. I can't believe that I went.
What did you do with that face? There's a break.
Look at the bracelet. Forget that. Oh, that's a watch. That's not a bracelet. And a World Series ring with. Wait a minute. Look at the jewelry this kid's got.
We're talking about lighter.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you like that? I'm looking at the watches and everything. Very impressed. Much like Phil's personality away from the mic, his broadcast style has been mighty colorful, although sometimes descriptively jumping the gun.
One at a dandy, they'll never get him.
Oh, deep to left center. Nobody's going to get that one. Holy cow, somebody got it.
I've even seen Phil say holy cow, and then it wasn't a home run.
Best, right. Oh, that's gone. No, it's not. Close. Off the wall. Longtime partner Bobby Mercer has Phil to thank for his start in the business.
Oh, this
Boy,
is
it took you
terrible.
long enough to get rid of the ball.
I know it.
In fact, I really got my start from Scooter in broadcasting. He was interviewing me in Kansas City one time, and we were on the field. When he went on the field, he doesn't go on the field anymore, but when he used to go on the field, and this was in the old Kansas City ballpark, and you know how violent those storms can be in Kansas City. With a storm approaching, and we were doing this interview live, for WPIX, and he had the microphone, and this big lightning bolt struck, and then all of a sudden this thunderous big explosion from the thunderbolt came, and I mean he just asked me a question, and he threw that microphone up in the air, and he took off. You know, he's scared to death of lightning and thunder. So I just picked the microphone up and finished the conversation and said, we'll be back with the Yankees in Kansas City right after this. So that was really the start of my broadcasting
And
career.
when I flew out this morning, one of the Sky Caps in Newark, he says, I hear you give birthdays to everybody. I want you to give my birthday. I said, when is it? He said, September 19th. I said, we're not on the air. He said, do it tonight in Minnesota.
We are on the air, too.
September 19th?
Yes, we are, in Kansas City.
Oh, I'm not making that trip. I didn't tell you.
You mean since you're not going to be on the air, right?
Richard Leslie, happy birthday. Oh, we are on the air?
Yes.
Oh, that's what. You got to be kidding.
Why would I kid you? You're my buddy.
I know. Oh, that's going to ruin the rest of the year for me now. Oh.
Holy.
No, I mean, thinking of that long trip for one game to say sayonara and goodbye, and it's not that I don't want to be doing it. Come on, get me out of this. See, but come on, you're not doing nothing back there. Watch that. I want you to watch this now, folks. Watch this. Throws the glass. There it is. No, that's not gentle. I watch it. I didn't think they took this.
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't.
That's why you're...
Hey, Mercer, will you hold this mic for just a minute?
Yeah.
See if his hair is a little too long tonight.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to give him a little trim.
Done it.
Of course I would have done it.
I want to tell you, this man right here has got team spirit at heart. He was in Chicago yesterday. He came. He's got to fly to California Tuesday, come back. He's got to fly to California Friday, come back. He's got to fly to California next week. He's going to get a lot of free tickets to go to Italy. And and the question, though...
No balls and two strikes chartables. Oh, you got a quiz for me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Because I've given you a number of quizzes.
Yes, you have.
As the year
And if you get this one, I will, well, I better not say. I was going to say I'd do the...
It's the longest question.
All right. Who was the batter that was up there when Robinson stole home?
Oh, that's Frank Keller.
Oh, you could... I can't believe nobody knew that in the whole Yankee Stadium.
I told you that was one of my favorite film clips.
Oh, you did? Uh-huh. Well, this is the decoy right here. Now watch it. Uh-oh. Whoa! Right in the palm of the head. Time out. Time. We got him.
You got him.
Holy cow. I wish I had a TV downstairs. I don't quite. Nice play, but forget that. Did you see that? Even Mercer's up here. Even Jill's up. Everybody saw that. Holy cow. At the end of an inning and a half, it's the Yankees 1, the Angels nothing. We're now going to pause for station identification. That is and I was just down.
Certainly not going to root for the other team. I mean, the Yankees have given me a livelihood for 50, how many years? 54 years, yeah. And I'm certain I'll give them a little credit, but not like if the Yankees did something. Then I give them, I go bananas once in a while. But
And he goes to right field. Holy cow! Holy cow! Like a walk! Oh, I don't believe
I have always
Holy
intended to do a game like a fan would do it, or like I'm talking to a fan.
While Yankee fans have been entertained by Rizzuto's antics over the years, they treasure his calls of some of the greatest Yankee moments ever.
Fastball hits deep to right. This could be it. Way back there. Holy He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant. Holy cow, Chris Chambliss on one swing. And the Yankees win the American League pennant. Unbelievable, what a finish. As dramatic a finish as you'd ever want to see.
The love affair between Phil Rizzuto and New York reached an emotional high in 1985 when the Yankees gave Phil a day in his honor. The Daily News presented him with a living symbol of his signature call. As his children looked on, an emotional Rizzuto was in his glory. He was surrounded by loved ones, most of all the woman who's been a pillar of support, his wife, Cora. Phil might have pinched himself to believe the life being celebrated was his.
You know, I'm a dreamer. I have dreamed all my life. And if dreams can come true for me, a little 5'5" Italian who dreamt about playing for the great New York Yankees, and to have it happen, that was unbelievable. Then I dreamed about getting in a World Series, and that happened. So I got a little cocky, and I thought I'd dream about marrying the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. And that happened when I met Cora.
They met in 1941, and that was just after the World Series. Phil was subbing for Joe DiMaggio at a church breakfast in Newark, and afterward, he went to the fire chief's house and instantly fell in love with the daughter.
I hear the footsteps, and I'm just talking to him and looking. I see the shoes come down, and I see the legs come down. And I forgot what he was saying. Starting to see the rest come down, and all of a sudden I see this red sweater come down. And then I saw the face attached to the red sweater. I said, holy cow. And I didn't go home for 3 months. You know, you talk about love at first sight. Then, I mean, you think it's only in the movies or you read about it. Well, this was it, and that started the romance.
They married in 1943, while Phil was still in the Navy. The next spring, Cora gave birth to Patricia, followed by Cynthia, then Penny, and then Phil Jr. On Phil and Cora's 50th anniversary, the Yankees threw a party.
I want to let you know that I met my Prince Charming 52 years ago. He's not very charming, but he's still my prince.
We never had a fight, but we had discussions, not even arguments, just discussions. Because actually I never won one. I had a couple of ties, but I never won one.
There you go.
Okay, now, listen, would you line this putt up for me and let me know how it breaks, please?
I gotta get back to BP.
Another well-known Rizzuto passion is golf. And the annual Phil Rizzuto Celebrity Golf Tournament helped support an important charity in Phil's life, the St. Joseph School for the Blind in Jersey City. Along with longtime friend Eddie Lucas, Phil's goal is to build a residence for St. Joe's.
He comes over to the school. He'll just come to the school and visit. They say hello to our children. And our children are blind, multiple handicap. What that means is they're not only visually impaired, but they have another major handicap. And he just talks to these kids like they were his own. He loves to do for other people, but he doesn't want the credit for it. He's a very quiet individual when it comes to that.
Support of St. Joseph's even comes from the proceeds of Phil's one-of-a-kind book of verse. The one dream that eluded Rizzuto was getting into the Hall of Fame. Every winter for more than 3 decades, the votes were cast, and every year Phil's name was not among the newest immortals.
Number one, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I've never had that. Every year people say, I know it's going to happen. I had a vision and I saw it. I had a dream and I saw it. And I know you're going to get in this year. And so you just got to sit back and wait. So, and I've been lucky that it hasn't bothered me that much. One day, the day of the voting, is a day I get a little antsy. And then when voting comes out and I'm not in, my son and I get together and we go have a few lollipops and get feeling good.
But in the winter of 1994, as Rizzuto waited at his home in New Jersey for the announcement from the Veterans Committee, he got the news he'd always wanted to hear.
I guess they voted down there and said, Yogi, you call Phil and tell him that he got in. But he actually told it to my wife first. And when she let out a holy cow, I didn't know what happened. She gave me the phone and said, Yogi wants to talk. And Yogi said, he never gets excited about anything anyway. you know, to me it was everything. It meant everything, whether it was yes or no. And I'm, well, what is it? What? He says, well, we got you in. I says, come on. He says, yeah. He says, here's Pee Wee Reese. He'll take him. Pee Wee came on, and I believe Pee Wee. So that was it. But I did let out several holy cows.
To many, it seemed long overdue. After all, Pee Wee Reese had been voted in 10 years earlier.
I was always hoping that when they put Pee Wee Reese in the Hall of Fame, that they would have put Phil in the same year, because that, to me, that would have been perfect. They were both great shortstops, and why Phil hasn't gone in the Hall of Fame, I got no idea. He's been a Hall of Famer all this time.
I know he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, and it's a shame he didn't, but I don't know how old Phil is now, 74 or so, but better late than never, and we're all tickled, but we just had wished it would have happened a lot sooner.
I called him and congratulated him, and he said, holy cow, you know, I can't believe it really happened, and we're so thrilled. And so him and Carl were very, very excited about it, along with the Scooter family.
Oh, boy. Said I'd be in the Hall of Fame one day. I'm going in.
And what better way to celebrate election into the Hall of Fame than to head up to Cooperstown for a sneak preview and a private tour.
Gallery where all the plaques are hung, all the Hall of Famers. 216, there'll be 219 as of July 31st when you're inducted. You'll be part of this special group.
Oh, man, I'd be here forever. I guess I've been to every inch of Yankee Stadium. When I was a kid, I was in awe of Yankee Stadium, as most ball players are. When teams come in, that's one of the reasons why the Yankees would be able to beat them. They'd walk in that big ballpark and it would take their breath away. And even as many times as I was there, whenever I would play, I couldn't get over the enormity of the whole place. And then when you stop and think, and a lot of times if you're not careful, you're thinking about what Babe Ruth did and where Mickey Mantle hit that ball, or where certain things that happen, and you kind of forget about the ball game going on.
Here we have Pee Wee Reese.
Oh, the little colonel. Oh, God, I tell you, Pee Wee, he was great. When he got in that day, he called me and said, if I'm in, you should be in with me. I'll never forget that. It really made me feel great.
He's a wonderful person.
Oh, he is.
He's one of the best.
I mean, he did some job with Jackie Robinson, and that.
He was very critical.
Very critical in that, because he's a Southerner, and he was one of the ones that stood up for Jackie. And
leader on the team. And
is that the one that I used? That's right. Ranch Rickey gave me that. I was the first one to wear a helmet in the American League. Because I don't know why, because they'd always throw at me. The guys ahead of me had hit home runs, and then I'd come up and they'd throw at me. And I was hit 3 times, and that was the last time I was hit with that helmet on, too. There he is, George Thomas Seaver. Oh, that would be cool. I'd love to be. Holy cow. Oh, man.
We're holding that spot just for you.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you very much.
In fact, you might like to be beside Tom Seaver.
Oh, couldn't be a better guy. I'd say that. Oh, yeah. Hey, I'll be 10 feet tall when I come in here. It's, I won't feel like a midget anymore.
Back in New York, legions of Yankees fans couldn't have been happier for the man who's been such a big part of their lives for more than 50 years.
Letters, telegrams, phone calls, cards, congratulatory cards and everything. Oh, from all over. I heard from people, real fans and friends that I hadn't heard of in years.
If you look at the Yankee teams on which he played, what he meant to them, the spirit and the camaraderie, the sportsmanship that he engendered, I think that's all a part of it. And I think that Phil Rizzuto is every man. He's every man to America, he's every man to children, he's every man to older people. Because he realizes the ability of individuals to overcome whatever handicaps that they might have had.
Overall love for the Yankees is paramount, and he is probably one of the only sportscasters that truly wants the Yankees to win every game. He's a real homie. I love it, though.
One constant more than anybody else. Other people come and go. They might come and go and come back again 2 or 3 times, but he's always been there. As long as I've been a Yankee fan, he's always been there, and that's sort of reassuring. Through ownership changes, management changes, ups and downs of the team, changes in broadcast partners. He just keeps on going.
Yankee in line with DiMaggio, Mantle, Munson, Ruth, Garrett. He was the glue for the Yankee championship teams all those years. And justice was finally paid.
Congratulations, Phil. You're one of the best. You deserve it.
Congratulations, Phil. God bless you, and I hope you're with us for many, many more years with the Yankees.
Congratulations, Scooter. Congratulations to you. It was long overdue, but I think richly deserved, and New York is very proud of you.
Hey, congratulations, Hall of Famer. It was a privilege to watch you day in and day out for 13 seasons. Scooter was one sweet shortstop, and I thank you for the memories.
Get goosebumps thinking about, well, I really do. Sometimes I wake up and what would have happened to me had I not been a ball player? That's it.